So thank you very much to everyone for turning up. These sessions are meant to be really quick, way of sharing ideas and expertise from fellows in across public sector and the organisations that support them. So you can take ideas after this and hopefully implement them with the work you're doing. Today we're focusing on this conundrum of supporting local high streets, supporting the local economy as we go in and out of lockdown or various restrictions. And see what we do. We've got a great panel lined up. We have James from Creative Experts Alive with Ideas. We have Larry from the London Borough of Haringey talking about what they're doing there. We have Dominic Ridley-Moy talking about some behaviour change principles and how you can apply these to your campaigns. And so I'll hand over now to James from Alive with Ideas, and he's going to talk to us about creating dynamic creatives that can be applied when you're in and out of lockdown. Over to you, James.
Let me just share a screen and hopefully you guys will be able to see what I'm seeing. Hopefully you can see something there. So yeah, thanks for inviting us along to talk today. So supporting high streets in and out of lockdown. Just to explain a bit about who we are. So we're Alive with Ideas. We're a creative agency nominally based in Hampshire, but obviously based everywhere at the moment. We like wrestlers, as you can see. And we like to see ourselves as a bit of creativity in your corner. If you're lacking in a bit of creative inspiration, or more likely at the moment lacking in time, hopefully we can offer you a bit of creative support in some of the areas that you can see on the screen, all the way through from your planning, all the way to content design, animation, all of those sort of things. So that's a bit about who we are. First of all, we would just like to say, well, thanks really. Thank you to everyone out there for everything that you're doing. Long nights and days, for ever-changing deadlines, crazy scenarios, and obviously not just for a few weeks, for months and months on end. So we just wanted to say that we think you guys all rock, and whatever we can do to support you, we'd like to do that really. We, much like you guys, I'm sure, have been working on a lot of COVID-related material and campaigns since March. And so in terms of trying to provide some useful insight today, in terms of communicating in and out of lockdown about your high streets, we delved into a handy book that we've got on the shelf, which is the Alive Top 3 Golden Rules for Communicating in a Pandemic, when you could go into lockdown at any moment, even on a Saturday tea time when the rugby is on. It's a very short, very specific book, but very, very useful for moments like this. So the first of the top 3 tips, it sounds really obvious, but keep your message simple. At the moment, with the amount of different advice and guidance that is ever changing, it's so much more important just to try and find a simple message that can cut through. We were lucky enough earlier this year to be invited to work with Waltham Forest Council in East London on their sort of economic recovery campaign after the first lockdown. And what they wanted was a really simple, clear call to action to get people to go out and shop local. So that effectively became the campaign strapline. We wanted people to go out, to choose local, and by doing so to support everyone. Unmistakable message that was then backed up by these sort of emphatic 4-word statements that related to different businesses in the borough, that really sort of sent a clear message. We want you to go out and we want you to do these things again and again. Really simple, really clear. And from the first phase of the campaign, I think the feedback and the evaluation showed that 95% of people were persuaded of the value of shopping locally. So from the first phase of the campaign, that simple message really seems to have cut through. The second point kind of follows on, I suppose, from keeping it simple. Keep it flexible as well. If you've got a simple message, that helps you to be able to adapt it and adapt it quite quickly. We've also been working with BCP Council down in Dorset. That's the Bournemouth, Poole and Christchurch councils that merged together last year. Again, another kind of campaign to encourage people to shop locally. Bit more of an emphasis on safety with this one and trying to bring those experiences of the high street to people. But we are very aware of the uncertainty that obviously is surrounding, the various tiers that people could be going in and out of, and the possible lockdown. So we wanted to create a message and a device business that hopefully would become adaptable. So the rediscover message was the kind of focus of the campaign. And on the left-hand side, you can see how that campaign was rolled out when the high streets were open. So sort of using a lot of that kind of imagery and experience of the high street to show people. But of course, its flexibility was put to the test, a couple of weeks ago when the lockdown was announced. And we were actually quite quickly and quite easily able to adapt it to have a more online focus. So the rediscovering out there became a rediscover online to encourage people to search and shop locally. So having a simple, flexible message really is sort of counts at the moment. And then the third point was to keep it local, which I know obviously is kind of exactly what you guys are doing all day, every day. But particularly with the BCP campaign, with a bit of help from JP and Can as well, we've really been able to hone in on specific local high streets. And the more defined and more targeted you can be and increase the relevance to people locally, the better chance of success the campaign is going to have. In terms of the first part of the campaign, before we went into lockdown in BCP, which ran for sort of a week or two, we found that the click-through rates for this first part of the campaign were 10 times what the average campaign that JP runs was achieving. So starting to see some real effects, early on of that really sort of hyper-targeted, hyper-local approach. That's a really quick run through. There's some ways you can contact us there if you wanted to get in touch. We love a chat, so yeah, please come and get in touch. Thanks very much.
Thank you, James. That was really good. We have seen this thing of referencing high streets near you really accelerating engagement and click-through rates, and also giving something to businesses to share, and we're even looking into ideas like the Mary Portas idea of adopting 3 shops. So there's lots that you can do in that sort of space. We're also, all in this together in terms of being councils. So it's really good to share and potentially share these ideas with each other. Those search functions actually trigger a Google search, which will obviously then be related to where you are, because Google will do all the heavy lifting there to list local businesses. And we were recommending that when you trigger those searches, you put in terms like healthy, so that you don't just end up advertising McDonald's. Our next presenter is Larry Salter from Haringey, and she's going to take us through some of the challenges that they have at the moment and some of the plans they've got for helping support local businesses and local high streets. Over to you, Larry.
Yeah, my name is Larry Salter. I'm the commercial manager at Haringey. So I normally work with our partners and stakeholders and our local SMEs to generate revenue for the comms team based on advertising. So we normally sell advertising to on our websites and print publications, sponsorship and so forth like that. Obviously, once COVID hit, that wasn't something that we were best placed to do. So as part of the recovery of our high street, we work with the businesses for them to advertise on our websites for free, with hyperlinks back to their websites. We also have actively encouraged those businesses that don't have any online presence to actively work with us to get an online presence as well. So in the coming weeks, we're going to be launching our Shop Local campaign. So we're going to be doing an advent calendar where we highlight a different business every week, every day, whether that be just information about what they sell or a video of the business. So it just gives a personal touch to it as well. And really encouraging then our residents to shop local and shop in time. So take time in advance and things. I'm going to leave that and pass over to Dominic and be still my beating heart.
That's very last minute. And good that your phone's working better than your broadband. I love the advent calendar idea. We've been speaking to some other councils as well about championing businesses that did good things to support the community during lockdown, restaurants that gave out meals, people that sort of helped support the local community in the first lockdown.
So that's some of our focuses and things like that.
Yeah, so it helps the council sort of champion CSR and it gives them a sort of legitimate way of saying thank you to businesses that have helped in that way. When we were recruiting social workers in West Midlands, we were able to thank businesses who had helped support the campaign by passing these things, passing those opportunities along to their furloughed or out of work workers. Thank you so much, Hilaria. It's really good to hear from there. As you said, Dominic from the Behaviour Change Network, a real behaviour change expert, and going to talk about some of the principles of behaviour change that could be used in supporting local campaigns.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, John Paul. I will just share my screen, so hopefully that's on your screens now. So just to introduce myself, I'm Dominic Ridley-Moy and I run the Behaviour Change Network, basically help organisations to run campaigns and apply behaviour change techniques, very much thinking about how you can get to the bottom of why people behave in a certain way, and then apply that theory to your campaign. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about applying behaviour change principles to high street campaigns. I'll say a little bit about segmentation, what we've seen happen during 2020, and how you can think about segmenting businesses from a behavioural point of view, and some of the challenges that businesses has faced. And then a simple idea, I'll expand on what John Paul mentioned about the Mary Portas idea, to apply behavioural insights to encourage people to shop locally. So how do businesses respond to lockdown? So it's fair to say there's been a really uneven impact on businesses during 2020, whether they're small or large. A lot of them have struggled, whereas others have really thrived. And there's some interesting research here from an organisation called Be The Business, which supports businesses. And basically they found in the first wave of lockdown that businesses fell into three categories: innovators, stickers, and the undecided. So innovators were the ones who really embraced lockdown, changed products, change their services, evolved rapidly. The stickers very much stayed still, played it safe, often shrunk, and the undecided were in very much wait and see mode, deciding what to do and seeing what would happen. So this is quite a useful model and gives you an example of how you can start to think about what businesses did from a behavioural perspective. And one of the things that it revealed is that businesses particularly needed help with their resilience and financial planning, which is not something we might not necessarily think about as comms people when we're planning our campaigns. So it's things like getting to the heart of how have the business's customer base changed, how do they respond to that, what is their offer, what's unique about what they do, and how can that inform our campaign planning. And then moving on to financial planning, again, this is an area where we might not traditionally think about having our campaigns, so people can often bury their head in their sands and not take those financial decisions. So we can help there by doing things like communicating around financial planning, and often that's about breaking things up into manageable chunks, doing one thing at a time. So how does the business put a 13-week cash flow in place? What payments to suppliers are most critical, and having a kind of continuous and evolving plan. So that's all things we can help with from a behavioural point of view. Just going to reference the EAST model very quickly. So this is a simple framework developed by the Behavioural Insights team. It's an easy and accessible way to start thinking about how to apply behaviour change theory. So do Google it and look at it in your own time and try out the different techniques. Just going to talk about the social side of the model, which is the notion we're very much social creatures. We're influenced by what others do, and we look to other people for cues on how to behave. So in practice, this is about highlighting what the group does, harnessing the power of networks, and encouraging people to make a commitment. So just taking that a bit further. So here's two things from the framework, two easy things that you can do for a range of different things. Commitment contract is very much about encouraging people to actively commit to achieving a goal. So we're much more likely to achieve something if we commit to it publicly, and then also perhaps bear it with a penalty. So if I post on Facebook that I'm going to give up smoking in the next month, and if I don't, I'll pay someone £100, I'm much more likely to do it than if I hadn't committed to any of those things. And then also the notion of descriptive norms. So we use other people's behaviour as a cue for what's acceptable and desirable. And that's used to great effect with council tax, for example. So people who've not paid their council tax on time, if you include the message 9 out of 10 people on your street pay their tax on time, this increases payment rates significantly. So bringing this back to the high street, here's a great example. It's a really simple concept. Mary Portas has tweeted about it, but it was actually started by a Dublin resident called Tim Carey. Started it off his own back. Basically, he chose 3 local businesses, posted on social media about why those 3 businesses are great, why they're fab, why you should shop there, and then he tagged 3 friends to do the same thing. So it's really simple and easy example of how you can use those behavioural principles, that kind of peer pressure, and also committing to doing something that makes a big difference. So that was a very whistle-stop tour of some things about behaviour change principles and segmentation. So do scan the QR code if you want to sign up to the email, and I run workshops and training. So do get in touch if you'd like to find out more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominic. QR codes becoming much more widely adopted, also can be useful in shop local campaigns. Love that idea of social norming, encouraging people to say that, you know, this is what they're doing, adopting businesses, supporting local. I think that's important for councils to build in. So thank you so much, James, for those brilliant insights into how to creatively support local businesses. Hilaria, for sharing what's going on in Haringey, that supporting local businesses. I think there's a point there as well about we're helping some councils run webinars to get businesses those stickers and those, I can't remember the other name, but the people who weren't innovating fast enough, how to give them basic online presences so we can support the businesses and nudge the behaviour at the same time. Can's always here to help. We're happy to have a conversation and share ideas with you. And you know, it doesn't need to end up with us necessarily working for you, but we just want to help everyone at this at the moment, considering how busy you are, and share lots of ideas together. Thank you very much for giving us 15 minutes of your time. Feel free to contact any of the speakers today, and we hope the rest of your day goes well. Thank you very much.